We're going to get started. We're going to just jump right in. Um, Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on this amazing day and conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of the Black woman. My name is Tanisha Rodriguez, and I am the CEO and founder of Sister Circle Media. Today, I have with me two incredible women that are in the political space. I have Chonya Johnson, who is the author of She's Political and the 5-Minute Advocate. I also have with me Charlane Oliver, who is the co-founder and co-executive director of the Equality Alliance. I'll have both, yeah, Equity Alliance, I'm sorry. We will have both of these ladies give us a quick introduction of who they are and the work that they're doing before we get started on the conversation. So Chonya, could you go ahead and let us know about you and your work? Oh no, I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, no, we can't hear you. Let Charlane go ahead and do her introduction, and then we'll figure that out.
Okay. I had that problem yesterday for some reason on another Zoom call. I don't know if it's Zoom or me, but they need to get that together.
Yes.
Thank you, Tanisha, for having me today. I am the co-founder and co-executive director of the Equity Alliance. We are a nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee. We do work across the state, doing work around civic engagement and racial equity issues for the betterment of Black people. Basically, we're here to mobilize and get more Black folks involved in the civic process and using their voting power as a weapon in the fight for social justice. So we've been around for nearly 4 years, and just really been beating the ground, beating the pavement in the grassroots, doing the hard work to really get folks involved. A little bit about me. I am originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, so Southern girl through and through, and now reside in Tennessee. I've been in Tennessee my whole adult life. Graduated from Vanderbilt University. Have a master's in public administration from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. I have about almost 20 years of experience in nonprofit work, government relations, and public relations. So I've been doing this kind of work my entire life, but it really didn't transition into activism until I got involved with the Equity Alliance. So I'll stop there, and more about me will come out, I guess, over the course of this talk. So.
I think we're going to have to let you continue. Chonya has disconnected, so I think she's going to try to reconnect back in with us. So we can just try having that conversation while she is trying to do that. So you have the stage.
So I have 3 kids. One ages 1, 8, and 10 years old. And I married since 2008, so about 12 years now.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And some of the experience that I bring to this talk is, one, I am a former congressional staffer, so I worked for 2 years for Democratic Congressman Jim Cooper. He represents the 5th Congressional District of Tennessee, which comprises of Nashville and some surrounding counties. I served as his community liaison and part of his communications team, and led a voting rights project called Project Register. And it was a unique project of its kind, one of the best in Congress, around engaging employers, nonprofits, large and small, to get them to get their employees to register to vote. So we did it around the 2018 midterms and was able to get over 250 companies signed up for this initiative to say, yes, we will get our employees involved, and we will spread the word that it's election day. And so that really turned into Nashville having the highest voter turnout in the state in 2018. So we know that that sort of tactic worked. So I bring that perspective. Some of my portfolio of issues that I worked on was voting rights on the state and federal level, as well as criminal justice reform for Congressman Cooper. So
I love it.
other experiences.
I love it. I love it. Black girl magic. Chonya, are you able to come through?
Let's see.
Yes.
You know what? This has never happened. I'm like, whoa, what happened?
The devil don't want you to talk today.
Yes.
Listen, and I know I got fire up in this belly, like that needs to be released. So
Absolutely.
I'm super thankful for you guys. And Charlene, your sister after my own heart, because I too worked in a district office for two wonderful members of Congress as a district director for Sheila Jackson Lee and for Donna Edwards. So I know that your heart is with the people. When you work in the district, you remember and you know why it is members are elected to Congress. Absolutely. And so I'll lead with that first, is that I have over 2 decades of experience of working on Capitol Hill since 1999. I started in my member of Congress office as an intern, Bill Jefferson. And since then, I've worked for 6 members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress, from Texas, Ohio, to Louisiana, to Maryland. And I did 5 years at the U.S. Census Bureau. And I've had a wide range of issues in terms of policy and managing casework and understanding the needs of constituents. And so that is how I got the title America's 5-Minute Advocate, because I believe in advocating for people and then teaching them how to do it for themselves. And so that was like kind of the beginning to the end of my career. And now I work for Bread for the World as their lobbyist and as senior policy advisor, really focus on issues to end anti-hunger, so food security, nutrition programs, your WICs, your safety net programs. Those are the things I'm working with Congress now to ensure that people get the resources they need from our federal government. Particularly, we are fighting for another round of COVID relief because we know that those numbers are growing in terms of unemployment, in addition to the rising number of people who are facing hunger. And so that is my day-to-day job. But in the evenings and on the weekends, I get on Zooms and I go and speak to groups, talking to them about how to be their own best advocate, and then how to engage and maybe possibly run for office or work on someone's campaign. I too have a daughter in my life, my one and only heartbeat, Cassidy John Johnson. She's a 16-year-old. I once was in the institution of marriage for 21 years. Came up out of that thing 4 years ago. I'm still happy. He happy. The world continues to move. And so I went to Southern University. I got my master's in public policy from the University of Northern Iowa, postbac in legal studies from Tulane. What else about me? I love the East Coast. I don't know. I can't wait to get into this conversation to talk a little bit more about the work that we're doing to get people to understand that it's not enough to sit on the sidelines. It's just not enough. We got to all get in the game to make sure that we're power players in our respective communities and in our families, especially. So I look forward to talking more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here and having this conversation with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. As someone who is an immigrant to this country, coming here and becoming a citizen and understanding my power in voting, it's been something that's very passionate of mine, to making sure that we spread this news. And for the Black women who might feel like, I don't know what I should be doing, how I could be doing more, I feel like this conversation is going to be that much more to her, right? So first things first, it's a heavy question, but I know we all saw what happened with Breonna Taylor's case. How are you ladies feeling about that? And what are your thoughts around that?
You know, I will say this. I got the questions last night, and I have been working on next Tuesday for Bread for the World, along with the Washington Interfaith Staff Council. We're doing a prayer vigil on Capitol Hill. We were supposed to do it this past Tuesday, but Justice Ginsburg ceremony was on Tuesday, so we canceled it and put it on next Tuesday. So I've been in the weeds. I don't really watch everyday TV, don't have cable, but I do listen to C-SPAN and news. And so I really did not, I wasn't in tune to what was happening on Wednesday. I just was out.
Mm-hmm.
Not until yesterday, I think I was having a conversation with a friend who's in the legal field. And then I saw y'all questions and I was like, oh, I don't know. But now I did do one social media post about Breonna Taylor, probably put up the profile that they did of her on the cover or something. And I still didn't delve into the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I knew part of the situation, still trying to figure the story out. And last night, when I got your list of questions, that one hit me because I said, I am Breonna Taylor. And the reason I say that is because many, many years ago, and many people don't know my story. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, so I may have left that out in my intro, but I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. I probably was a sophomore in college, sophomore, because I married my sophomore year. And I was living with my then husband, uptown New Orleans, or the Garden District of New Orleans, Audubon area. And my mom at the time was on drugs. And you don't know what your parents are doing, but the thing is, she was on drugs and she did something that she wasn't supposed to do, but some kind of way, she must have used my address for something. And this memory has just come back to me in this week, like last night. And I said, because I remember the DEA coming to the house, busting in my house that my mom doesn't live in, looking for her. And I'm like, oh my God, and I'm freaking out. So in that moment, I was like, I am Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the issue that I take with that is, I didn't lose my life. But what I'm thankful is that God has given me a chance to still be here and help people advocate. I think our criminal procedural system, because it's not a justice system, definitely needs reforming. And I think we have to have a system that have more wraparound services to do follow-up. No one called me after that day when I was like, she doesn't live here. And I don't even know how y'all got, they literally busted my house. My then husband, he tried to console me. I went back to school, finished my undergrad degree, buried that memory so far down that I'm now telling it 20-something years later. And so I never really identified with it until the question was asked. So I'm saddened. I feel also a renewed strength that said I can fight for the rest of the Breonna Taylors of the world to ensure that this doesn't happen, teaching us how to advocate for ourselves. So when we are looking at pieces of legislation that are coming down the pike, we can then tell our stories, and we also can advocate for a real justice system that's not just for some of us, but for all of us. And so I am Breonna Taylor. It could have been me. So I am very heartbroken by the news. I hope that there is a way in which the justice system can relook at that situation.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I would say about that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that story with us. And Charlane, where are you at with this?
Oh gosh. I'm all over the place. I think I'm in a sense of numbness now. I'm past angry. I am past, the angst, and in a state of numbness because I feel like I take 2 steps forward and it knocks me back 2. So that's the initial reaction. But the way I got into this work was because of, police brutality. And I saw it through the lens of my son. Trayvon Martin was killed 2 days after my first son was born. And so it was the first time that I connected that identity that my son is out here as an endangered species. And now through Breonna Taylor, it's not only Black men and boys, but Black women have a target on their backs. We've been had a target on our backs, but it brought it to the forefront. And so the Black family, Black people are just out here as sitting ducks, literally in our house.
Yeah.
And it reminds me that the laws were written to keep us in place, but the laws don't apply to white folks.
Yeah.
And it certainly does not apply to the police. And so The other thought I had yesterday was the fact that Black women, and we're talking about the power of Black women,
Mhm.
whereas we can be gunned down in our home, but we're also expected to save America at the ballot box.
Exactly. There you
And
go.
I'm having a hard time with that.
Mhm.
We're here believing in a system of democracy
Yeah.
that is supposed to work for us, but it doesn't love us. And so
Mhm.
it's this juxtaposition for me that I'm struggling with. What do
Absolutely.
I say to the next person when I'm in the fight and I can't see the end right
Mm.
now?
That's a really powerful statement that you just made, because I know for me, being in the space where I'm at with circle media, it does come to the point, like you're saying, you're in the trenches, you're trying to inspire people, you're trying to get, people up to vote, and something like this happens. How do you get yourself up, right? Who's there for
Yeah.
you to pick you up while you're doing the work?
But I almost feel like, and I don't want this to sound insensitive, but these are almost blessings as well. Like these are
Mm-hmm.
moments of inspiration and motivation for us, because Black folks have always found inspiration through our pain and trauma, unfortunately. And so
Mm-hmm.
these can be motivators for us to come out and vote. And so we always have to be connecting the dots of these injustices back to, there's a policy attached to this situation. And that
Mm-hmm.
policy is made by policymakers. And yes, we want to yell and fight and spit at the police, but those police are just the enforcers. These politicians are out here making these laws that we need to vote in or out, and we need to put the ones in place, these DAs, that are going to be on our best behalf. So that's where we have to be educating folks and speaking up about how we need to be in the system and working to dismantle and fix the system at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And I think, to your point, right, how do we find that inspiration? What are your thoughts on that? How do we do that?
Say for me, we all look to different places for inspiration. And so I would say the number one place that people have to go is inward. You got to go inward. That's going to be with you. When I saw that question, I just was under the impression that I tell people when I train them, you're not going to be able to fight for everything. Like,
Right.
you pick one.
Right.
Generally when I teach people to write, I say, what's the top 3 issues? Like, we got to keep it simple, because a confused mind will not buy when you go in there with 20 issues. Pick 3 and then let's hammer them out. But in this case, when we are newly getting people energized and engaged, I say, pick one issue. What issue could you stand in the middle of the highway and talk about? I drive down 95 and I see people up there saying, vote Trump out. They are literally standing above the highway, getting everybody attention during rush hour to say, hey, this guy got to go. Or, hey, in police brutality, what is that one issue? And you pick that issue, you find the purpose in it, you find your coalition that you can partner with, because sometimes we don't want to go alone. So create a buddy system if you must, but you got to find that one issue. But I say, for me, my inspiration comes from, well, I have a beautiful daughter. And so I feel like I'm living my life for her, and I'm living my life for my mother as well, because I'm doing many things that she never even dreamed of doing. I know that she's proud. My family's proud of the choices I've made, despite of where I come from. But I live for the future for my daughter, and then my daughter friends, and making sure that they can be proud of the woman that I am. And then for our community, to make sure they can look and say, oh, Chonya is leaving a legacy. I write books all the time. I'm trying to finish up some projects now, but I'm leaving a written piece of who I am and what I think about the world. But to go back to inspiration, what inspires me is when I go inward and say, God, what has God deposited in me? And what is it I can fight for? I knew that I was an advocate because I can talk all day long and call somebody up and say, hey, these people need VA benefits. Charlene, no, we would do VA benefits, Social Security benefits, K-1 visas, all in one day. People need their SNAP benefits. Whatever it is, I knew that I can put the words together and communicate that to the federal agency to say, come on, give these people a second chance. And so people got to go within. They don't have to go pick an issue from here in Washington. They need to stay local if they must. One thing, I just was on a call with the Links in Houston. I did a talk for them And one of the gentlemen says, I want people to be encouraged to vote down the ballot. Go to the very bottom of the ballot. Why?
Yeah.
Because at the bottom of the ballot is most connected to people, which is the sheriff's office, which is the clerk's office, which is the justice of peace, those, the police, the AGs of the local community, city council members, they are impact their everyday lives. And some of us don't want to do that. We don't want to serve on jury. I mean, I can go on and on and on, and I'm going to stop here because this is something I'm very passionate about. But we got to go inward. We got to stop looking for society to tell us what to do and go inward and say, ask yourself the question. Whenever I ask myself a question, Chonya comes up with the answer. And so that's what I would encourage people to do, is go inward.
I love that. I love that. And I think that makes a lot of sense in the spectrum of things, right? When you're talking about going inward and being, to your point, and what you talk about in your books is the personal advocate, right? How would you talk, what are specific goals do you think that Black women can do to engage in being that personal advocate, that one-on-one?
So here's the thing. We all are advocates. And I know on the call right now, y'all are advocates. And let me tell you, and I always show people how. We all have cell phone bills. We have utility bills, gas bills. And let me tell you something. And I don't know where exactly y'all live, but if you got a light bill that was $400 and something, you call in a light bill place and say, excuse me.
Right.
But why is this bill 75% more than what I should be paying? That is the art of advocacy, which is asking the question. And so that's how you initially engage, is understanding advocacy is just about asking the question and then following up. And then again, I already said, go within and see, what are you most passionate about? We might have moms on here who have kids who are looking for fair and adequate public education. Go to the school system. You might be in a community where there's no street lights, but you're in a major city, urban area, and there should be street lights. Well, go to your local public works department. Or the grass isn't cut at a long highway. I was living up in Beltsville, and one of my neighbors, guess what? He attached a little piece of paper and said, this is our tax dollars, because during COVID, they didn't cut this man's grass. Well, it's not his grass, but it's right on his property, but the city or the county is responsible for it. He took a note, put it in a little plastic bag to say, this is our tax dollars at work. He's advocating that they should be doing something, even in the midst of COVID, right? So I just, I would just encourage people, you can become your own personal advocate just by thinking about, you already are. And so those skills are transferable in the real world. And so you just transfer. If you want to be an advocate for issues for women running for office, work on somebody's campaign. You may not be able to, know the fancy things to say about policy, but you can make phone calls. You can help them write letters, write positions on different stuff, because you have experiences. I tell people, bring their whole self to the process. Don't leave any of you out, because that could be valuable to a candidate in helping them understand how it is to move issues forward in their respective communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Charlane, from a community organization standpoint, how do we get involved in our community? What does that look like for us?
Well, to piggyback on Chonya's point, I feel like from a collective standpoint, advocacy is showing up and speaking up. And we have to be showing up, not just on election day, but 364 days between election days. We have to be holding our elected officials accountable, and that's what the Equity Alliance is about. We're year-round civic engagement, so we're paying attention to the issues not only on the local level but the state level, to say, look, this ain't working for Black folks. This is not working for our community. So we have to speak up and send letters to our mayor. Show up in demand meetings with our Metro Council person or, city council person, whatever you call it in your community. But there's also power in numbers. We got to know that the one person speaking up may not be as powerful as when you join forces with a collective of people, which is why we call ourselves the Equity Alliance, because there's power in numbers, and we believe in working in coalition with different like-minded groups, progressive groups that align with our issues. So on a community level, you have to be speaking up, showing up, where it matters, school board meetings, city council meetings. And a lot of people don't even know that they have that luxury to do that. You know, when I worked at Jim Cooper's office, rarely did I, and I hate to say this, I didn't see a lot of us. You know, come through.
It's true. It's true.
It'd be a lot of lobbyist groups, white lobbyists and all of this, Moms Demand Action and all those folks coming through there, but not a lot of us. And so I say, you know, closed mouth don't get fed. Well, when we not speaking up, we don't eat. So that's why sometimes our community does suffer, because we're not putting foot on necks, you know, with these politicians.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I think that's so important, that we know that we have the rights and permission to do that, right? To show up and hold our elective official accountable. We have the right to do that because we voted them in.
Exactly.
And
per the U.S. Constitution, we can petition our government. That is our job, is to petition our government. And we forget it.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to ask you this question, which I'm really interested in, is finding what both of you think about what our new normal will look like amid this coronavirus, amid this election, amid all of these racial stuff that's happening. Like, what does our new normal look like after this election? And Charlane, can I have you tell me more about what you think about
that? The thing that's been going through my head in the last 24 hours, in light of Breonna Taylor, in light of President Trump talking about he not going to concede the election, in light of all of these norms being broken in our state, in our federal government, rewrite the rules. It is time to rewrite the rules. If our Constitution ain't working, it's time to petition our government, like Chonya said, and we need to rewrite some of these rules. And I hope that there's new leadership come November 4th, so that we can, like, we're seeing how Trump and even our state legislature in Tennessee, it's terrible down here, y'all. It's terrible. It's racist. And how they abuse their power. And so we need, I hate to say it, term limits. We need, you know, campaign finance reform. We need to rewrite all the laws that allow them to scapegoat, so to speak, and be corrupt. So that's what's going through my in my mind from a policy standpoint. But from a pandemic standpoint, I don't know. A lot of folks are hurting. You know, folks are out of a job. Their hours are being cut. We're spending more time at home with our children. So this could be a blessing in disguise. But at the same time, I do fear we may be headed down the road for a recession because of moratoriums on evictions are ending. Folks may be losing their house. It's just a lot of factors going into this coronavirus pandemic. So I don't know. We could be in a civil war. Who knows? Because Trump is inciting violence. I'm over here talking about we need to be stocking up on canned goods, and I need to go to the gun range. We got 3 guns in the house, y'all, but I might need to give me just a little bit more, because these folks is out here crazy. They are crazy. I'm serious. So that's like all the things that are going through my mind. You just can't put stuff past folks.
Absolutely. Chonya, I would love to hear what your thoughts are as well.
So my thoughts are varied, and they definitely are similar to Charlene's, in that you know, we have to become more engaged. And one of my famous quotes is, I tell people that being involved in politics is not a one-night stand.
Right.
It's not. It's about courting the system, courting that elected official, getting to know them, building an authentic relationship with them, letting them know what your community needs. Outside of that, I'm very hopeful and optimistic, because we are Black women. We are warriors. We are beautiful. We always rise to the occasion. Despite what America throws at us. We in some way, kind of like they say, shit pies. I hope I can say that. But you know, when they throw shit at us, we make a pie out of that shit. We just do. And so, and then we feed it to their asses, and they like, yummy, yummy, good, right? You know, you guys saw the help, right?
Right.
So, you know, they don't know because they don't know. But I will honestly say is that we are resilient Black women. And if for nothing else, that us, we're still in some way are gonna still be level-headed about it. I just,
Absolutely.
that's just what I believe. I believe that, you know, God has called us to this place to stand despite what we see. We have to still trust the God that we know. We have to trust ourselves even
Right.
more.
Yeah.
You know, when we think about women running for office, we often, you know, say we gotta ask women 7 and 8 times, and sometimes we do. But the truth of the matter is, when we get in there, we're fighting not just for ourselves, we're fighting for everybody. We're
Absolutely.
not that biased. We're
Yeah.
just not. We're not built that way. We are very
Absolutely.
communal, collective, nurturing. We want to make sure everybody's okay. I'm
That is
going
the
through racial
facts.
equity changes right now, trainings right now, and they say, Chonya, you too positive and optimistic. I say, but I ain't got nothing else for you, because for the God that I serve, that is just what I exude. That's just what I know. And
That's
so
right.
I always err on the side of being overly idealistic and
Mhm.
positive and optimistic about my future and the future of our sister circle collectively, to say that
Mhm.
we're going to rise to the occasion, and many of us are going to be all right. And for our sisters that are not all right, we're going to be the ones on the front line advocating for them, advocating
Absolutely.
that maternal health issues be addressed
Right.
in this
Mhm.
Congress, advocating that they're not just getting hysterectomies for fibroids when they could give them another option, right?
Right.
We're going to
Right.
be there advocating on the front line for SNAP benefits when they need them, unemployment benefits. One of the things that I don't know, a little devastated by is that I have not seen enough outrage in many of the communities, is that we know this leader of the free world was very negligent in his response. There were
Right.
businesses that just came online that saved their life savings of 20, 50, $100,000 to start a business.
Right.
To start a business. This is my life
Mhm.
savings that I use to start a business. And now I've gone under because of your mishandling of this crisis.
Right.
Right.
And then to me, I'm just like, where's the outrage? Now I got a little side business and it thrives and I'm able to sell a book here and there. But I'm thinking about those businesses who put the blood, sweat, and tears in to bring their businesses online.
Mhm.
And nobody, there's no real outrage, but we can give corporations billions of dollars to save them. And when we want a little small paycheck protection loan, oh, we got to figure that out, or we can't get financing. I'm sad, but I'm also optimistic that there are people like myself and Charlene who are out there advocating,
Yeah.
you know, tooth and nail for people to be able to
Absolutely.
receive their fair piece of the pie. And so that's what I would have for that.
Absolutely. And I think specifically because this platform is for Black women, right? I would like to hear from both of you as far as what is your hope for Black women moving forward, regardless of who wins. What do you want us to move forward with?
A sense of purpose. It has to be. You got to, like, for instance, I'm in a group, and it's led by Jataka Edie, or Jataka Edie.
I'm in that
And
same group, Chonya.
yeah, so I've been on the
Yes.
calls. Yeah. So
Yes.
win with Black women, and we're sitting, we're
Yes.
writing letters and we're making demands and we're putting it out there. We need to come together and remain a sister circle collective.
Mhm.
And we can't tear each other down and we can't
Absolutely.
backbite. And here's the thing, I believe there's enough for the pie for all of us, not the
Yes.
shit
Right.
pie. We're gonna get the real apple pie, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
the truth of the matter is that we have to stay one and unified, and we need to put and or recommend sisters for positions within this administration. And it could be the Trump administration. People don't want to go work there. I didn't want to go work there. I just left Capitol Hill back in March. I was working for Beatty from Ohio, and I was like, hell, high water. I ain't going in the White House. I don't care. But if there's a new administration, certainly I would consider going. But didn't nobody want to work for the Trump administration? That's why you can see there was so many vacancies or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But I think that going forward, whatever it is, we have to come together as a unified voice.
Mhm.
And we have to begin to look. One thing I was disheartened by is, you know, some of the Black males, celebrities were talking about a Black agenda. And I say, y'all stop. Like, I just want to be like, shut up, stop.
Right. Right.
Because if you go to the website, you'll see there's a damn Black agenda. And if they don't have one and they don't have what you want, then you write it up and send a damn letter and say, please consider.
Right.
Do your homework. Don't wait for somebody to bring something to you to say, consider it. You bring it to them and say, will you consider and hold them accountable? Exactly. Like, do you not understand how the process works? That's not how people get what they want. And so I was very, very frustrated early on in the process that these people will be coming out to my, there's no Black agenda. There's always an agenda to take care of our immediate needs, take care of our families, take care of our communities, make sure that there's racial equity, make sure that our kids have fair and adequate public education, make sure that there's student loan forgiveness for many of us who have invested in these institutions to get a good education so that we can be able to compete with the other people who already had access. Like, there's always been an agenda. So don't act like there isn't one, but we're going to leave it up to them to bring our agenda to the table. I say, hell no. Join an organization that exists. Sit at the table, because you can do that, or create your own damn table, okay? And then work that thing out. Many of the work that I do, listen, I don't fight for no platforms. Guess what? Chonya got YouTube just like everybody else. Chonya got Facebook. Chonya got LinkedIn. Chonya got everything she needs. Chonya got Facebook Live now. So guess what? I create my own stuff.
Right.
And guess what? By God's grace and great people like you guys, somebody find me, somebody invite me. There you go. Who's supposed to hear me will hear me. I have no problem with that. And that's what people have to understand, is that we're going to have to, I don't want to say go back to the old days and be segregated or anything like that, but we got to be more vested in ourselves, invested in our community to ensure that we get what we need as we continue to go through being involved. This system is not going anywhere. So we may as well learn how to play the game, have a seat at the table, create our own tables, and tell people what we want.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Yeah. And Charlane, for you, I know you started your organization with 3 Black women. So, which I love.
Oh gosh. We started this organization with literally from nothing, and just raw talent and passion. So we each put in $250 of our own money and said, we're going to start this nonprofit, not knowing anything about, politics or, the lay of the land. We just bust the door open and said, look, we're going to do it by any means necessary. We ain't asking no questions. We ain't asking the old guard for permission. We don't see it happening, and we're going to do it. We're going to be the change. And people caught on to that. And 4 years later, we're over $1 million organization in less than 3 years. So we've been out here grinding, okay? Because Black women get it done. So
absolutely.
That's just what we do. Absolutely. And we've done this work. We've done this work off 100% volunteer support up until last year when I quit my job. So what I want Black women to know and understand is, like, I want us after November to know and own our worth, because the work that we do, there's a lot of organizations out here, white-led organizations, that get paid big monies to come up in Black communities to get the vote, and they get these contracts, and then they don't do half the work that we do. And so I know that if I'd have known the talent and true just what we all bring to the table as the Equity Alliance and as our own individual selves, what I know then, what I know now, I'd be rolling in dough. I'm just saying, but I don't do it for the money, but I just know that are just magical creatures, that we will do anything. We can do anything is what I mean. Absolutely. So I just hope that Black women continue to walk in our light and own what we can do, and not second guess ourselves as much. If it's running for office, run for office, step out there and boldly do it. If it's, going after that promotion or asking for a raise, or if you are self-employed, if you have an LLC, ask for what you want. Don't think that have a price, but request what you think you deserve. I'm doing speaking engagements, and I'm starting to make sure I get paid for my speaking engagements. That's whereas at first I would just do it for free, thinking okay, I'm being nice, I'll go ahead and speak. But now my time is money, and I'm gonna go ahead and request that I'm too busy right now, so I'm going ahead and request what I deserve, and either you can pay it or you don't. So those are the things that I want us to understand and about our work, is that we bring a whole lot more to to the table than what the TVs and magazines and news stations tell us we do and are.
Yes.
Absolutely agree. And to piggyback off what you said, the same thing with Sister Circle Media. We literally started with just us investing our own money to jumpstart this. So you out there watching, you can do the same. If something has been implanted, God has given you something, that's your purpose.
Yeah.
Run with that. It was given to you for a reason, right? I remember trying to run away from Sister Circle all day, every day. I'm like, I can't do this. It's not for me, you know? It's like, no, this is for you. You need to do this. And
Yeah,
because you are who you are, this is why I gave it to you. And I had to fall in line with that.
Right.
I had to fall in line with that. And it's been nothing but bliss because it was for me. Right?
Right.
And I have so many amazing women around me. And my board is made up of so many amazing women, and we're all volunteering our time. Right? And I don't have to feel like I need to be this know-it-all person because each one of us have our strengths that pushes this forward. Right. So there's no competition. It's literally collaboration. There is no competition within our circle. Okay.
Competition, just collaboration.
Just collaboration. That is it. So I empower you. To Chonya's point, we need to move in purpose. We need to move together and support each other. There is space for every single one of us. Right.
Absolutely.
So we're kind of running out of time. So I want to get to you, Charlane, and you telling us what are the do's and don'ts on election day? What should we expect? What should we do? What should we absolutely not do?
So I don't know who all is watching, you know, or from around the country or in California or what have you. So I'll keep it pretty generic, but this is the most, you know, you've probably heard this as a cliche, the most important election of our lifetime. It really is. Democracy is on the ballot, literally. If you believe in democracy and having a say and a voice, like our government is trying to chip away at our rights and our ability to have a say in this government. And so if you want that to continue, you need to be voting in November. I would also say have a plan. Don't just think I'm just going to go up there and vote and not know the laws of your state, because that's how voter suppression works. I could talk all day long about voter suppression. It's these booby traps that you don't think are in your way, but they are in our way. As Black folks, they put traps in our way because they don't think we gonna read or know anything around the laws. But you need to know when is the deadline to register to vote. Make sure you're registered, check your voter registration status, because in a lot of states, especially in the South, they purge voters. You could be purged from the rolls if you don't participate in a certain number of elections. Make sure that you have a plan around who you're going to vote for when you get there. Know what the ballot actually looks like. And who's on the ballot. Look for a voter guide in your state. In Tennessee, we publish as the Equity Alliance the Tennessee Voter Guide. It's free public resource. We put all the candidates on there so that you could do your own homework. Also, make sure if you need to bring an ID, bring an ID because in certain states you have to have photo ID in order to vote. Make sure that you have snacks. Be prepared to stay in line and know that once you're in line, you can vote no matter what time the polls close. Even if it's closed, stay in line. Bring a lawn chair, bring an umbrella, bring some snacks just in case you got to sit down. But we're going to hold the vote. We're going to make sure we vote and get our vote counted. So this is a vote by any means necessary year, and we got to bring our family with us. Bring somebody with you to vote. Absolutely. It's crucial. Our lives are dependent on this right now. Like, I ain't trying to go back to the plantation. I ain't trying to be a slave because they literally try to put us back in slavery, y'all. They are literally trying to take all of our rights away. And I don't mean that as a scare tactic, but they are. Like, they are trying to stack the courts. They're trying to take away and push through a Supreme Court justice so that any laws that they put on the books can become permanent for our lifetime. So it's just not a laughing matter right now. I know I laughed just then, but it is not a laughing matter right now.
Absolutely.
Can I add something to that?
Please do.
One is this, I will tell you all that I did request my ballot maybe 2 months ago. Still have not gotten it. So guess
Same
what?
here.
Chonya likely will be early voting,
Mhm.
just because I hate lines. I'm gonna be real honest,
Yeah,
and I
vote
know how
early.
important my vote is. So I've stood in line before, but I didn't like it. So I'm gonna make sure I early vote. And I will go every day early vote till I'm able to get in there. That's one thing. But the one thing that I do want to encourage people to really understand too is that there is a group of us that are considered trusted resources in our community. And so one of the ideas that I've given many is that wherever you are, two, one, go through your phone book and make sure that they registered, and just send them the link and say, click on the link. If you're in your state, most of your family live in your state, go to find the Board of Election registration link. Most of them could be registered probably by the end of this month, and make sure that they have registered, and or check whether or not they're still on the roll. So they should verify that. The second thing, why many of us, I feel, are sometimes not going vote, and this is just what I've gotten via survey of people, is that they're like, I don't really know who's on the ballot other than the president. And so they will go in the voting booth and they will only vote for the president, and they forget down ballot. So what I'm encouraging people to do is to host a ballot party on Zoom, on Facebook Live. Your family member, somebody can just do one in Texas and just say, hey, here's all everybody running in the state of Texas, or for that area that they're in, and just say, hey, I know this person, they've done this, this, and this. I've seen them do the work in the community. They're not trusting these glossy websites and pieces of paper mailers that's showing up in the mailbox, but there are real proven people who are doing the work, like TEA, who say, hey, I know these people. They've been at the table and they've been fighting for our issue. So you should probably support her. Or maybe it's a proposition, someone that don't understand. Break it down in layman's term. And I tell people, as smart as I am, I tell them I have a slow processing unit. It takes me time. I got to give it here. Give me a minute and let me process. So I am not a fast processor. So I slow it down. And there's many people who won't admit that they are. As high as I have risen in success, I still be like, slow it down, fifth grade. That's why I got back to the basic podcast. I'm like, I'm giving everybody the basics. And so when it comes to a ballot, you want to just go ahead with your family members, other people in communities that you know, and say, hey, let me go over the ballot. I'll just do a Facebook Live. I'm going to do one for right here in Prince George's County, Maryland. And I'm going to tell them everybody that I know, because I know all of them. So I'm going to tell them who I'm voting for. And I'm that person that will publish who I vote for. And it's like, oh my God, you ain't vote for? No, I didn't. And I'll tell you why. It's okay. Oh, the voting is sacred. And we're going to know who won it. And we're going to know who lost. So it don't matter to me. So I'm sharing. I used to tell people too, I was trying to date this one guy, or whatever. I was dating. And he wouldn't tell me who he was voting for. I said, oh, baby, we done. This ain't even going to work. Because I couldn't trust that. Like, you're not going to share who you vote for. Now it's this. I said, child, this is not going to work. So that was done with that. But all I'm saying is I want to encourage the people to host private ballot parties with you and your family and friends so that we can have an increase in numbers. It's really going to be about voter turnout, mobilization of people in our community, because we can win this thing. We really can win it, and it's based on the number. So that's what I would say. Host a ballot party, send a text to your fab 10 people, tell them to send it to 10 people, and that's how you keep it rolling to election day.
I love it. I think that's a great idea to do a ballot party. I know my family and I do that. We go through the ballot, we talk about it. I do the research. We have the conversation. I know.
Make it public. Make it public. They might not want to be on it. And I have a Facebook page called Ballot Party, and then I think vote. I say make it public. I mean, it could just be you, like, hey, and just share, this is how we do this thing. So people can get used to it. So when there's local election, somebody should still do it. Don't just wait till presidential years. Do it every year. There are elections that are going on, municipal, whether it be justice of peace, you sheriffs, commissioners, all of those people need to be voted on in those propositions that change the way we do things in our local city. So that's what I would.
And just a little tip, if you don't know, like if you don't know anyone in your family who's going to be voting for certain candidates, you can try look into your local newspaper. Typically, trusted newspaper sources will put out their endorsements. So that can be a good source of reliable information on who to vote for. They'll usually do some profiles, and they usually put that out a week or two before election day. So just look to like your New York Times, your Washington Post, or your local newspaper, LA Times or whatever, and see what they're saying too. That can be a good source.
All right, thank you for sharing that. I love that. So to both of you, we know that there are a lot of Black women that are on the ballot. Is there anyone that either one of you are very excited to see if they get into office, what they'll do? Is there anyone that you're like, yes, I'm so happy this person's on the ballot?
Kamala, cousin Kamala. I mean, here's the thing. I will tell people when she was running the first for president, I was for her. I know many people who worked on her campaign and things like that. Particularly, I was drawn to the fact that she is smart. Her, Elizabeth Warren, and who else was it that I really, really like? I think those were my top two. Because I mean, I had did some work when I was down in Edwards' office with Senator Warren, and I just like her. But I'm a kind of closet nerd too, so I loved her. We worked on the housing and the TARP bill and things like that, and helped save people homes back in the day when I was a district director. So I loved her for that, and I had a working relationship with her. Now Kamala didn't really know her, but had seen her and thought she was approachable at a couple of CBC events. Smart cookie, didn't have a preference or anything like that. Then when she dropped, I was just like, well, they ain't gonna have a Black woman. Well, I don't know. I'm not voting for another white man. I'm sorry. I told them I don't even have the strength to pull no two white men over the line, or two white people. So they could have picked a white woman. After Warren was out, I was like, Lord have mercy. I ain't even got the strength. With everything that was going on, I said, y'all got to give me something to believe in.
Right.
And guess what I do and what I will do is bet on Black women. So when they gave us Kamala, and probably before they gave us Kamala, I was like, well, girl, throw what's her name in? Val Demings in. I was like, throw her in. I'm a Zeta, but I was like, I'll support the AKs and the Delta any day. But I was like, guess what?
Where's my pen? Hold on.
She didn't get paid. But when they picked Kamala and I got on the Win with Black Women team, I was like, yes. This is somebody we can fight for. And we know that she's thorough. She was a great, yes, bet on Black. My mug. Where's my mug? It's somewhere.
I love it. Yes.
We just have to know that we have to bet on Black women. But we know that when we are at the table, when we are well-rounded Black women at the table, we're not selfish in our policy.
Right.
Now we get a little crazy. Because I didn't work for 3 Black women members of Congress. So I know that, and they're not crazy, they are demanding.
Passionate
for that. And so you gotta be ready to rock with it. So some people like, you work for her? I sure did. And I knew what it required. And so it brings a special set of skills, but they're always fighting for the people. And they're not self-serving in most cases. Most times they are selfish because they don't want their staff to leave and go to big corporations and get, $25,000 more on the but you know what I mean? But they want you to stay with them. But I just say, hey, it's time for me to cut out, and then I have to leave them. But the truth of the matter is, when you are working with Black women, you can win with Black women because we centrally always believe in working for the people. And so I just think Kamala's going to do a great job. Now, who else is down the ballot? We have a great county exec here in Prince George's County, Angela Alsobrook. We have a sister who's a Sigma Gamma Rho, who is our state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy. So for us in Prince George's County, it's just black, blackity black, everything. So
lucky.
At all over here. But, we hold them accountable. They know when Chonya get on here talking about stuff, they tap like, hey. So I just think that we got to stay engaged. And I'm looking forward to seeing what policy come up with and having some ideas of my own. And advocating for other positions.
That's amazing. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it because I want you to talk about it. Do you think more Black women should run and get on these ballots?
Yes, I didn't get to answer the question, so I'm gonna answer anyway. But
please do.
That's what's up.
Yes.
The ones that the candidates I'm excited about. One, Cori Bush in Missouri, who
that's true.
Gonna be part of the squad. I'm so proud of her. And that's a true example of like someone who rose up from everyday people is now going to be in Congress. So Black woman, shout out to Cori Bush. But here in Tennessee, we are excited about Marquita Bradshaw. She is running for U.S. Senate. She is the first Black woman in Tennessee history to be on the Democratic ballot. So she unseated. She came in first in the primary in August, and she and another Black woman beat out the expected person that was going to win. It was a white man, and he had $1.2 million in his war chest.
Wow.
He did not spend, and she only spent $19,000, and she beat him.
Wow.
Yes.
That's why they need campaign finance. I mean, you can win it if you're on the ground getting it, though. That's what
she's a community activist, and it proved again that that grassroots game will win you every time. So we're excited about Marquita Bradshaw here in Tennessee. So y'all check her out.
I love it.
Yeah, and I will say this for the women over in Atlanta, we have the young lady who's we hope replace Congressman John Lewis, who was a icon in Congress. Oh yeah. And so she is. You really can't go wrong with a Black woman. You just can't.
You just can't.
My thing is we're held to a different standard. One.
That's right.
Yeah. And for the most part, 98.9% of the time, we gonna do what we supposed to do because we don't look good in stripes.
Right.
We trying to go by the jail. Like we just gonna do right just because of who we are and what we represent. And so I'm rooting for all the sisters who are out there. I recently wrote this book, Running in Heels. She's political. I released it over in Houston last year. And it's been doing very well. So, I encourage women, just get out there at any one of those levels. You should run and put your hat in the race. And so I'm excited about that.
I love it. Thank you so much. I want to end this with you ladies telling our guests and members how they can connect with you, donate through the programming. So Charlane, let me have you go first and tell us about donation and things like that and how to connect with you.
Yeah, so support the Equity Alliance. We are in Tennessee. You can go to theequityalliance.org and you can click the donate button. Even if you're out of state, you can help us make phone calls to voters. So sign up to volunteer for a phone bank up until November 3rd. We can get you hooked up. But yes, donate to us. We have a goal of reaching over 100,000 Black voters by November. We're almost to that goal, but we need your support. So check us out. We're doing good work.
Awesome. And Chonya, tell us about these books. How can we find you?
Yeah, and what I want to do is I want to also extend myself to the Sister Circle and to TEA too, to help you guys, because here's the one thing that I understand. We do this big push to get out the vote, to register folks, but then we need to make sure they get out. But after that, it's going to be incumbent upon us for us to make this thing full circle and understand the art of advocacy and how important it is that we use our voice. We speak up, we act up, we get in good trouble when we need to do for our communities. And so I think that has been the missing piece as to why people fall out of love with politics because they're not engaged. And they haven't done the thing that I say, which is courtship of the process. They get in, somebody say, oh yeah, vote. And that's it. That's that one night stand piece. But that's why I say it's no longer a one night stand. It is a courtship. Politics is about building relationships. And so I would love to partner with you guys beyond this conversation to ensure, 1 million advocates marching on Washington, advocating for a variety of issues. It doesn't have to just be one issue. It could be a number of them that's going to move our community forward. We can, I always say, we can chew gum, we can drink water, we can read a book. We can do it all at one time. I walk every 5K reading books and they be like, how you do that? I say, because I know where the hell I'm going. And so when you know where you're going, you know what you're doing and you just get it done. And so I would say that if you want to purchase a book, certainly feel free to catch me on social media. I provided that information to you guys, so
Yes,
you can
we will share that.
Find me on social media, Chonya J. What is my name? Chonya Marie on Facebook, on Instagram is Chonya.J. And you can purchase the books. You can reach out to me, and then I can make sure you purchase them or whatever the case may be. But listen, It wasn't about selling books today. Those who it's for will find me. Y'all know how to use Google, so you'll find the book, and that'll be that. But I really wanted to come and share with you guys and be of a resource to this community that you're building to ensure that there's a sister circle collective. The importance of not the vote, advocating and activating our voices.
Well, thank you
can follow
both.
us. I just wanted to
go ahead.
plug our social media as well. Even if you're not in Tennessee, you can follow us because we put a lot of good educational tidbits on there too. We're on social media, Facebook at the Equity Alliance, and then Instagram as well, the Equity Alliance, and then Twitter, Equity Alliance 1. You can follow us. So.
Amazing. Thank you both so much for coming on and having this conversation with me and our members and everyone watching. I want to say a very special thank you to Erin Relford, who made this conversation happen.
My sister. Yes.
She was amazing in making sure these ladies were here and on time, and that we had these conversations ready to go. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Please let us know in the comments or email us at info@sistercirclemedia.org. If you have any questions, we will make sure we repost this video and save it and give you all the logins or tags for these ladies so you can get in contact with them. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and see you all November 3rd. Have a great day.